This week we're going to tell you about Novel, a new bookstore in downtown Fredericksburg. So let's go in and check it out. Before we start the episode, I want to recognize our sponsor, Shore United Bank. Shore will be there to help guide your financial journey every step of the way. Visit them downtown or at Harrison Crossing. And now, onto this week's episode. Today I'm at 212 Williams Street, which was the longtime home of the Jewel Box. Now it's home of Novel. And I'm with Andie Ayers, who's the owner of Novel. So Andie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So just tell us about Novel.
Well, Novel is what I consider a community-based bookstore. My goal is to bring people together more than anything, like over books. I think that we can connect in really important ways more easily over literature than we can on big topics in direct conversation. So trying to bring people together, finding the perfect book for them, finding gifts that are good for them, for their family members that are surrounding books.
You've got a couple things on your website that caught my eye. First of all, the subscription boxes. So tell people about that.
So the subscription boxes, so far, I haven't really done too much with them, but I do have one friend who reached out to me and said, I need to read more books that are fiction. And so we sat down, had a conversation, I took notes, and then every month I give him a book that I think he'll enjoy. And so far, it's been really great. He's loved every one of them. So my goal is to be able to do that for other people. You know, tell me about your reading, what you like to read, what you don't like to read, what you've already read, and then I just put together something monthly for you. I do the selecting, whether it's a newer book or an older book based on preferences.
Okay. And then I also noticed cause clubs.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that.
So cause clubs comes from my background of being an executive director of nonprofit at Fairy Godmother Project. And my goal with those is to, like I said before, kind of bringing people together over hard topics. So far we've done fiction books about bipolar, and that month that we did that, all proceeds from the book and an additional donation was given to Mental Health America. Then the next month we did one about childhood cancer, and of course went to Fairy Godmother Project. And then last month we did one about ALS, and that went to the Jess Strong Foundation for ALS. I think that's what they're called. And so the goal is to talk about things that maybe we don't normally talk about, and bring those topics up and bring awareness. And so I think that sometimes people have their defenses down more when they're reading about a fictional character and are able to understand the characters a little more. The awareness that was raised when we did the first one was about bipolar disorder. The women in the group that were there didn't know each other, and they were exchanging phone numbers afterward because of similarities in struggles in their family with mental health. So that's my goal, is to bring people together who don't know each other over big topics and make connections that can be supportive.
And how can people find out what's coming up, what the clubs are, what the cause clubs, the next ones are?
So on our website we have an event page, and then also on Instagram we have a highlight that shows all of our book clubs. So you can just click on that. We use a format called Book Clubs, real original name, and people can sign up there. There's polls there about different books to come and all the information, and then they just sign up through a link there.
And then speaking of clubs, you have a space upstairs that people can use,
yes.
right?
We do. We have a space for people to use. This where we use for our book clubs, but then also people can rent it out for, we've had someone use it for a birthday party. We've had people use it for their own book clubs, and it fits about 10 to 12. We also have space upstairs where you can bring your own refreshments and have them set out, and the whole upstairs space is for them during their private event.
Okay, and you touched on this a little bit earlier, but you come from a nonprofit background, working as a long-time executive director of Fairy Godmother. How did you come to own a bookstore from that background?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. No, I am sure. When I left Fairy Godmother Project, I learned so much from the families about how important it was to support people through cancer and how kind of we do it wrong as a society. And I actually got diagnosed with breast cancer the month I was leaving. And so then I learned that firsthand. I learned what that looked like and what it was like to have people say things to you that were well-meaning but also hurtful. So I started an online store called Grief Girlfriend. And on that space, you could buy cards and gifts for people struggling with either loss, a diagnosis, or whatever the struggle was. And then from there, I realized that, if I really wanted to bring that to more people, I needed to have a brick and mortar. And so it just sort of evolved. I have a whole section that is just that stuff for people. And it isn't necessarily a big sellers, but it is a seller, and to me that's really important to have those things available to people in our community. Books that are good resources, cards for people. I have great cards about like going through cancer treatment, and just kind of helping people figure out how to support the people they love when they're facing those things. And so it just evolved into that plus other books, because I've always been a huge reader. I was an English major in college, I was a teacher, and so that's kind of how we got here.
Okay. And then just finally, you're co-located with a business called Green Eyed Vines, but separate ownership, right? Separate businesses, just located in the same space.
Yeah, but it's a great, I highly recommend to anybody that might be considering starting a business, because we're able to share our time. As a small business owner, you are devoted to your shop and you have to be there all the time, but we're able to find a good balance for our lives and sharing it together. So she sells plants, and the number of people that have walked in here and said, plants and books, it's like a dream, So it's really great. I know nothing about plants, but I'm learning, and she fortunately does know about books. But yeah, it's a really good combination, and it's a great business model.
Okay, well, Andie, I appreciate you taking a little time to tell us more about Novel today, and good luck with the business.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for this week's edition. We appreciate you watching. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter at fredericksburgfreepress.com and to our YouTube page, and we'll try to keep you up to date on business activity here in the Fredericksburg region. See you next week. And thanks again to our sponsor, Shore United Bank.